given what has happened in the country over these 30 years, and given where we are today, it's going to be very, very important, in my view, that there must be a national dialogue. That our people, for the very first time since 1994, for the very first time, that our people get together to talk about the South Africa they want and the South Africa they don't want, in a very inclusive national dialogue. We've never done this. This would be the first time. And fortunately, these comrades agreed. So we were discussing the issues that the Congress has been talking about. The negative issues where we are. A general crisis in the country represented by this mass unemployment, poverty, lawlessness, all sorts of negatives. And that it was important that the people of South Africa as a whole must intervene in order to determine their own destiny. Not represented by political parties, but the people themselves. The workers, rural people, women, youth, traditional leaders, business people, sports people, artists. I'm talking about a truly inclusive process. The political parties, including the SACP. Let's have a national dialogue. I'm saying for the people of South Africa, for this nation to say, this is the South Africa we want, and this is South Africa we don't want.
And for more on this, we are now joined by political analyst Ongama Mtimka. Dr. Mtimka, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. Perhaps to start the conversation here, is a national dialogue of any sort and any variation a sufficient tool to turn around whatever may be the malaise and shortcomings of South Africa's body politic? There's an assumption that if we talk about things, we'll find each other and we'll chart a way forward. But what if we talk about things and never find each other and never seemingly chart a way forward? Is a national dialogue a sufficient tool in our political toolkit to turn the picture around?
Good afternoon to you and your viewers, Oliver. So it's an important platform, and its importance will depend on, one, the ability to craft an effective agenda that narrows in on the key questions that confront us, and in particular, the stumbling blocks to us creating an inclusive economy and other aspects of South African political economic life. Secondly, the ability to get the right people to be around that table at the national dialogue, and a broad range of stakeholders needs to be there. What I've seen in South Africa, we tend to even approach things not from the perspective of what are the indisputable truths. And I think that it's time that we cut through all ideological things and assumptions and go to what are the most basic indisputable truths about our reality, and build a program politically, ideologically, and administratively that's going to respond directly to those things. And we mustn't be comfortable sounding like our allies, even if our allies are actually speaking things that are not closer to what is undisputable truths. So I think it's an important platform, Oliver, but I agree with your underlying sentiment that it wouldn't be sufficient. And if dialogue was all it took, I mean, we would be far today as a country, because we are adept in argumentation. But I think that we do need to focus and zero in on the core issues and come up with programs that can work going forward.
I think it's not lost upon us that that comment and sentiment, as delivered by former ANC President Thabo Mbeki, is delivered at the SACP's conference, all while the party had taken a position that they're not happy with the ANC for having gone into a coalition with the Democratic Alliance in what they have termed the Government of National Unity. Was that perhaps a surreptitious critique by Mbeki of the SACP or of the ANC? Given that for a national dialogue to work, we all have to approach it with an open mind. And if any one of the discussant approaches it with, I don't like that you did this, or I don't like that you've partnered with so-and-so, that's definitionally not an open mind. That is perhaps not a good way to start the conversation. So who exactly was Mbeki surreptitiously critiquing there?
So I'm still listening to that presentation by Mbeki, Oliver. What I noted, though, as a matter of interest around, this conference. Remember, when ANC, there are divisions within the alliance. What we watch is what do political platforms of the alliance enable ANC leaders to do. Now, what I watched more was the Paul Mashatile interview. And for me, I think what I'm commending, and it seems like Mbeki also was along these lines of speaking about the reality that the ANC finds itself post-election, and then attempting to say, we know the dogmatic positions, but there's a need to carve a path out of this. Whom I watched doing this, and I thought, wow, it's Paul Mashatile is playing the game, I think, fairly well here, because as I'm listening, I'm not getting somebody who is leveraging the platform in order to advance an agenda that leads towards succession politics. In fact, I looked at how he was updating the conference about the key things that pertain to, for example, the Alliance Clearinghouse, the Bella Bill process, among other things. So for me, it's more about what are the ANC leaders doing in this conference? Because I'm still getting into the content, but what they are doing, in my view, it seems to be a conciliatory, explanatory message that seeks to retain what's left of the unity of the alliance, without wanting to outshine a particular perceived dominant bloc in the ANC top 7. That to me, I think, is a very glaring positive thing. ANC leaders generally abuse these alliance platforms for their own agendas, and it's good to see that they are staying in ways that they are attempting to retain some, unity.
Yeah. Dr. Mtimka, last question here, and I'm not to make you be reductive about it, but I do need a short answer. Where does this leave COSATU as an alliance partner, given that the SACP is in the process of resolving to contest against the ANC in elections, including the local government elections next year? Where does this leave, in 2026 rather, my apologies, where does this leave COSATU as a non-political party alliance partner of the ANC and the SACP?
It's going to be interesting because they also very often before an election state that people must vote for the ANC. I think it's still an open-ended thing at the moment, but closer to the time, they will make a determination as to whether there's more value in an SACP that has got tangible support base with which to bargain. If they feel that there is value in that, they may lend their weight behind them, but I don't think this is the most likely scenario. The most likely scenario, in my view, is that they will still hedge their bets around an ANC leader that's going to emerge as the leading person leading towards the 2027 conference.
Yeah, we're going to have to leave it there. That is political analyst Dr. Ongama Mtimka. Of course, we'll bring you continuous conversations around that as well.